Alright, welcome back to the Supercoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to do the live reaction to Team List Tuesday for round 4. Should be a pretty lively one. It's been a pretty wet and miserable day here in Brisbane, and it's a pretty miserable time for us super coaches, NRL fantasy managers, whatever you call them. With bulk injuries, but definitely makes for an exciting team list. And yeah, we'll crack on with that in a few minutes. As usual, we'll just quickly review the sports deck at this time. So another middling week for myself with 762. So a slight dip overall outside the top 1,000. And if we have a look at the team, there's a bit going on here. So we brought Joey Lussick in alongside Fini Filiaki and Terrell May. So Lussick with the 29, that's fine. We knew he wasn't going to score 70s every week, or whatever he was averaging before this last week. We had Marshall King on the bye, so we had to play Lussick anyway. Big Tino was looking good until his knee gave way, and unfortunately for the big fella, he's out for the season. So definitely one we have to move on. Terrell May was decent with 45. Hughes with the 20, Fafita with the 9, so not much doing on our bench. In the second row, we had Curran with a 50, so even though he played less minutes, still pumped out a 50. Smithies with a 43, he probably had a quieter game, but I don't think there's anything to stress about. Piakura with a 43, so his, I think it was 0 in this format, should roll out of his average after this, and he'll start kicking up in cash. Although he is one of the ones that's under an injury cloud. Went off, I think hobbled off training today, maybe a knee was a report. I can't keep up with all of it. There's too much going on. Hopgood with a 46 was solid, and I guess the news that Cardi's going to miss some time probably boosts Hopgood's stocks. Fini Furiaki was good with a 38, and Chan was a late out, but is on the bye this week anyway, so no need to panic there. And the halves, we had Nathan Cleary as our VC, so a nice easy choice with him scoring a 93. However, it sounds like he has a hamstring injury and may miss a few weeks. So, we've got, what's that, about 1.7 million on the pine, plus we already had a fair chunk of bank for this week. So, lots of money to spend potentially. Hines with a 33, probably his flattest game for the Sharks. He'll bounce back. No need to worry about him. Hutcho was good with a 35. Flanagan with a 47. Sort of makes the trade for Galvin a little bit trickier this week. Burbo with an 18. I don't think game went to plan for him, but he'll bounce back. Bostock was obviously the loophole. Salmon with a 36. So despite sort of not flourishing in the other formats. I think, it's just all that pure base means that the scores are going to be pretty consistent across all three formats, which is not bad for us in Sportsdeck format, where he is eligible as a centre. Nathan Strange with a 10, he's always going to be a bit inconsistent as a young half, so, not one to panic on yet, but I guess at the same time we have Galvin on the horizon, and we could look to make some quick cash that way. And the wing fullbacks, so solid all round, 55, 57, 55. That's why we have these guys in the team. Obviously, Tedesco is the one to sort of aim for at the moment, but we'll work that out. Tua Picky with a 27, but also with the head knock, so probably misses this week, and then CNK is probably back into the team after that anyway. And Kinney with a 13, and word on the street is that Jaden Campbell played reserve grade on the weekend, so good chance he'll slot back in there this week. Quick look at the league and how that went. So comprehensively defeated by Wera Hesse Dixie. I think that's how you say that team name. So just having a look there, Michael's got James Tedesco, which is nice. Jacob Carraz with a 79 is awesome. Reed Marnie with a 77, nice sort of pod hooker. Um, Mitchell Moses with a 77, but another one that's gone missing this week. Gagai with the 66 is a nice solid contributor. Um, yeah, even a decent looking bench. So well played, Michael. Also got cut out past the daily with a good win over Hell's Grannies. So Captain Cleary is a good choice. Fanua Blake, who's probably the number one front row target now that Haas and Fa'asu Malawi are on the pine. Um, Val Holmes has been carving up. That's a great get. Surprised he's not in the centres. Either that or it just shows where they're picked in the team. So that makes more sense. Um, so good result there. Um, the Dragons Lair getting up over Field of Dreams and Gundagai Tigers winning over Guns N' Roses. So if we have a look at the table, so we've got only two teams undefeated. So cut out past the Daily and the Dragons Lair, and myself and Hell's Grannies lifting up the basement at the moment. But surely things will change. I just noticed my points against is not ideal at the moment. Couple of tough matchups so far. But it is past 3 o'clock, so we'll refresh the page. Team list for week 4. Let's have a look. I did see a little Jaden Campbell preview there. Good stuff. So the Roosters and the Panthers, first of all. The Roosters, Sam Walker and Luke Keary both playing, which is good. Um, doesn't look like too much difference on the bench. Warrior Hargraves, I think he played last week, didn't he? So is that the same team? I know Lindsay Collins, Sandon Smith out. So who's in? Egan Butcher, I think, was unfamiliar. Name on the bench, perhaps. And obviously Luke Keary in for Sandon Smith. On the Panthers side, Brad Schneider was the obvious replacement for Cleary. Scott Sorensen missing out too, so Luke Garner named to start, and Maverick Guy on the bench. So maybe one to have a punt on in fantasy, given his price will start rising. But bench edge usually isn't ideal. Um, but I guess also good news for the likes of Liam Henry. Um, with only he and Eisenhuth really being probably middle forwards. Although Guy might, play a bit more like a 13 type role, and Isaiah Yeo would play as a prop perhaps for a bit. Yeah, so I guess that's all pretty expected. Other than obviously Cleary out. I guess haven't looked at Schneider's price too closely, but could be one to just keep an eye on if the Panthers continue to go well. So Rabbitohs Bulldogs, so classic Good Friday game. Bit cooler today, so I got to rep the retro '95 jumper, which is pretty good. Um, let's see. So Jack Whiten, the big in for the Rabbitohs. Um, yeah, it looks all pretty as expected in the back line. Damien Cook back starting. So Havili's dropped off the bench to 18th man. Didn't think he was going that bad, but there you go. Um, yeah, so got Cheekham and Duncan on the bench. So I guess Duncan will probably play more of a middle forward role, and Cheekham would cover the edges and that sort of thing. For the Bulldogs, so a bit of talk Addo Carr was going to get up, but not named. But aside from that, looks like the same 17. Addo Carr is on the bench in 23, so that's one to keep an eye out on. Um, but yeah, I guess the Dogs went well last week. Why fix it if it ain't broken? Broncos Cowboys. So Tristan Saylor replacing Reece Walsh at the back, out with his busted face. Um, Arthur's, yeah, Mariner. So that's all the same. Adam Reynolds back is a big in for the Broncos. Um, Fletcher Baker starting. So Jaden Hunt name. So it looks like Pierre Cora is out, which is going to affect a few of our teams. Not ideal. Um, Guess Corey Oates named on the bench, so you imagine he'd be cover for perhaps a Jaden Hunt, and he's one I do have to look at. I think he might be on debut, so could be another little interesting one. Um, but I'll have to do some more research. I don't remember off the top of my head. For the Cowboys, looks like Laybutt's back in after a week off. Everything else looks the same. Fini Furiaki starting again, same sort of bench. So I guess you can play those guys with confidence. There was a bit of a chat about Ruben Cotter missing out, so at the moment he's named. We'll take that as he's playing. Um, but I guess always keep an eye out on the team list late and that sort of thing. Um, Around that, Dragons Seagulls. So for the Dragons, the same back seven. Looks very much the same middles, although Jack DeBellin to the bench. Tom Eisenhuth named to start. Marshke getting another run, even with Little back. So that's interesting. Mulhausen's dropped down to the extended reserve. For Manly, back seven looks the same. Forwards, I think, are the same. I haven't followed the middle rotation for Manly too closely, but I think that's the same. Looks like it based on the ins and outs. Um, so yeah, I guess we're expecting a bit more action, but nothing really out of the ordinary so far. Titans Dolphins. So Jaden Campbell is back at fullback. Um, the rest of the back or the backs are the same. So no David Fafita, although he is named on the bench in 18. And Keenan Palacia named to replace Tino. So probably won't cover as many minutes or workload. They'll probably be sort of shared amongst everyone. So I don't know if anyone becomes an instant trade in. Um, on the Dolphin side of things, so it looks like the same sort of back seven that played against was it the Dragons 2 weeks ago? Pumped 38-0. Front row is the same. Ewan Aitken named on the edge again. Max Plath holding his spot at 13, even though Ray Stone's back. So pretty interesting. Kenny Bromwich named in the 18. So surely you think he would have fit in somewhere, but also perhaps maybe these young guys are getting a bit more experience and they're earning the trust of the coach. So I guess that makes Plath an interesting choice as a half option um, in Supercoach in particular, playing his third game. It's a bit hard to compete with Lockie Galvin, but definitely one to be interested in. Warriors Knights. So RTS named at fullback. So obviously CNK isn't quite ready yet, not even the extended reserve. So great news for us RTS owners. Um, Adam Pompey comes in the centres to cover for RTS. Front or forward pack looks very much the same. So I think that's just the big move, RTS to fullback. Don't know if that means he's an automatic trade in, but definitely, I've had him even when he's in the centres. So if you wanted to get him in, feel free. But yeah, that's good news for us owners. Um, and the Knights, so same team. Just having a quick look through. Like Dylan Lucas named on the bench again is probably another sort of last minute swap, perhaps. Just trying to work out Leo Thompson. I think he got suspended, didn't he? Yeah, Leo Thompson's 1 game ban. So yeah, I guess watch the space for Brody Jones or Dylan Lucas. But I suppose that just means the big winner is Kai Pearce Paul. I know, very popular trading option this week. Um, but I think I've got other positions I need to fix before I worry about him potentially. Sharks and Raiders. So the Sharks, very interesting name in the four jumper, Kyle Iro. So Talakai's moved to the edge to cover for Nikora. Jack Williams back to the bench. So this might be a one and done sort of situation with Nikora back next week. So could be worth a shout in fantasy if you're looking for a cheap wing fullback centre cover for this week with all the outs. Um, but obviously, you'd be relying on Talakai making a more permanent move into the forward pack for this to be a viable pick across our fantasy formats. Other than that, Tom Hazleton elevated to the starting team. I guess sort of probably struggling a bit for middle forwards given all the injuries. But Daniel Atkinson getting a start on the bench, so Sharks don't usually run with a back option on the bench. And particularly, I guess, when you've got Sifa Talakai that could shift out, it does seem a bit sort of out of character um, to have, not essentially four forwards on the bench. But I guess maybe after last week's defeat to the Tigers, they're mixing it up and trying something. So good luck to them. And then the Raiders looks pretty much as expected, although I don't think James Schiller's been in the team. He might be a new face. Some quick read of the blurb. Yeah, James Schiller coming in for his first game. So I know he's fairly cheap in fantasy, I think it is. I did look at him as a bit of a pot option. Or was it Supercoach? Maybe both. But yeah, I guess we can have a look and see. Uh, and Corey Horsburgh is actually named in the 19, which is interesting. So you imagine he'd have to find a spot in the 17 somewhere. But maybe Ricky just playing the cards close to the chest there. Very interesting. Okay, so he did play New South Wales Cup last week. That's weird. Didn't even pick that up. 'Cause, yeah, I think last week I remember saying I thought he was going to be a chance, and then he didn't appear. I just thought it was Whitehead coming back. But there you go. Shows you what I know. All right, and the Eels and Tigers. So the Eels, let's have a look. So Penasini, Harper, Russell, Blaze Talangi played centres last week. He's moved to the 5'8" spot, so could be a very interesting shout in our centre wing because I guess Moses is out for the medium term. Um, so yeah, definitely one to put on the radar. Dylan Brown at 7, I think is good news for us owners, particularly in Supercoach. Forward pack. So Bryce Cartwright named. That can't be right. I think they said he was out. That's a weird one. Nothing really mentioned there. But I guess take it as read that maybe Cartwright will be okay. Four forward bench again is good news for Lussick. Um, yeah, but that's weird. Bryce Cartwright named. And for the Tigers, I can't imagine too many changes. Looks 1 to 17. Maybe Kapoa wasn't on the bench last week. Yep, so he's replacing Alex Twal. So Alex Twal out with concussion. There you go. So I guess after all that, there wasn't too much exciting or earth shattering. Maybe Cartwright in is the interesting one. Talangi obviously getting the 6 at the Eels is pretty exciting, but yeah, I think I've noted it was as expected. RTS at fullback was probably one I wasn't expecting. So we'll just have a quick look at the potential trades here in the sports deck. Obviously, for Supercoach and NRL Fantasy, we will go through. We'll do our tops, chops, traps, and slaps tomorrow, and then obviously the round preview on Thursday. But obviously, Tino's got to go. We need a front row forward. We could just go straight to Fanua Blake, but we might sort of just chase a bit of value so we can consolidate some other positions as well. And the option I'm thinking is Tom Flegler. He's only played the 2 games, but if we shift this to averages, and I'm going to go back to front row, he slides all the way up into third place, just behind Fanua Blake and Haas. So, at the moment, we've got number 3 and 4 in terms of front row average, and we're getting them for, at least a $500,000 discount on the 2 big hitters. So I think that's the first move we need to make. The other move is, I guess, what do we do about Cleary? Um, the timeline's 3 to 4 weeks, which is always that awkward period. And we also have that sort of, I guess, gun option lurking in Lockie Galvin. So, averaging 54 and a half on the bubble. Um, and, the likes of Hutchison's doing okay. Did lose some cash, but should have a better break even. Flanagan obviously crushing it. Hines, we're not going to, stress on. We could slide Hutchison to the centres, but again, probably all like Bostock's going to make money. Turbo and Salmon playing in the forward pack's always handy to have in the centres. Ethan Strange, maybe we get out of him and take the accelerated cash generation of Galvin. And then also, I guess we do need to get a third in our wing fullback spot too. So, does that potentially impact our choices? So, I think what I'm thinking is I think we will get a Cleary. Obviously, that leaves way too much money on the bench, but there's not much we can do about it. We'll boost and we'll go from Kinney to all the way up to Desco. He's just in such good form. We will pay the premium. We've got close to $1 million on the bench. No wonder we're struggling in this format. So, confirm. I mean, if I cancel, what if I get back out of Cleary? Actually, I've got to get rid of Galvin. Yeah, so maybe we cut Strange, switch Hutchinson, and um, oh, it's wing fullback still, isn't it? Half Galvin. There we go. So that looks a little bit better. And I guess saves us a trade bringing Cleary back in too. So all in all, probably not too bad. We could even play Galvin this week. Um, so Ponga's good. So Tedesco starts. Um, I guess Bostock against the Titans is a good shout of making some points for us. So do we go Burbo Salmon, or I guess we probably need one as a reserve anyway, so throw it on Salmon. Um, Chan obviously won't be part of it, but Marshall King will be. Actually, I think Lussick plays the last game. We'll start him. Set and forget front row at the moment. Piakora out, so Finifui Aki in, which means we still need to find a reserve. So probably Flanagan. Who are they playing? Manly at win. So it's between Flanagan and Hutchinson. I think realistically we're not going to put Hughes in. Maybe Flanagan. So with the Dogs playing early, we might put Salmon in there. And then captain, vice captain. I think we'll back Hines to bounce back as captain. Uh, and I guess maybe Teddy against the Panthers without Cleary as vice captain. Makes the most sense, I think. So that'll do. So yeah, so I guess there's our sports deck team for this week. Um, a bit of carnage, but I guess it's the same for everyone. So as I said, we'll do some analysis over the coming days. Obviously, have the Super Coach and Fantasy previews come out. So if you are interested in all of that, feel free to subscribe. Obviously, if you enjoy the Teamless Tuesday sort of live reaction stuff, give the video a like. Um, comment, any questions, thoughts you might have about your team, my team, any team. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.